job opportunities, education, equal access, citizenship. We are not given that opportunities. So how can you say there has been done, enough thing has been done? Enough thing has not been done. We all have to, I think someone said just now, what would you say in Shah? Saru said, what would they take to the Shah? For me, I would advise that women's issue should be discussed. And I know, again, women will be left behind in this Shah also.
In this arc, yeah. Nisha, I'm going to give you the last word, but before that, Meenakshi Lekhi, your party has won an overwhelming mandate in the Indian Parliament. In the last Parliament, the Women's Reservation Bill, which gives 33% reservation to women parliamentarians, is still hanging fire in a sense, because there was no majority in one of the Houses of Parliament. Now, can you say to us, to this audience, that the Bharatiya Janata Party is committed to passing this Women's Reservation Bill?
I can comment and commit to two things based on the history. One is that my party is committed to the cause of women, and Mr. Modi, as a CM earlier and now the Prime Minister, is definitely committed to the cause of women. 3 incidents I'll tell you. One is that in 2010, it was his government which passed a bill in Legislative Assembly giving women 33% reservation, which was sent to the center, because every bill to become an act, you need presidential assent. It was sent to the center, and the then president till later presidents never signed that bill. So it was not my party, and it was not my chief minister, or now the prime minister, who's responsible. 1. 2, my party has given 33% reservation to women within the party structure. Now, when you give women reservation within the party structure, which is very much within the hierarchy of the party, you are actually generating women leaders, because a leader is not produced out of the air. A leader gets to be trained at the work in hand. You need media management, financial management, policy management to the strength of organization. And if you get trained at that by working within the party structure, you are there not because you are contesting, as Ms. Ribani just now said. I can quote my example. I'm not here because I contested against another woman. I contested against 2 men and a sitting minister. So the real women of substance will come forward if you train them in the right perspective by training them within the political system and the party system. Now, coming to the third part, where you wanted to tie me down to 33% reservation, I am personally, I've debated this earlier, that the reservation, not necessarily 33% seats be given to women, but I am of the opinion that 33% tickets be given to women. Because no party would ever want to lose 33% seats. So only women of substance would be able to contest. It cannot be you're related to so-and-so, so instead of father, the daughter contests, instead of the husband, wife contests. I actually want women who are trained at political messaging to come forward, and that is possible when there is a mandate of the law that 33% tickets be given to women, otherwise you'll be derecognized as a party.
That's a great suggestion. Nalini, do you have a question?
But this is my personal opinion. My party can take 33% to women otherwise.
Okay.
This is my personal suggestion.
Why, I don't know, Honorable Parliament Member, why, I don't know, even in Nepal, even in India, a country so big, why are you satisfied with 33% when we are talking about equality?
I'll tell you
why. Why are you satisfied?
It works
we should be not only 30%, we should be half and half or more than that.
I agree with
Please
you.
say we are women.
Ms. Koirala,
And if you talk about equality.
There is a study to back me up, and the study is from Norwegian and Scandinavian countries. Because
No, but why are we looking at
I'm
Norwegian?
telling you.
If
no,
we are looking at
let
South
me,
Asia.
let me just complete my technical argument. It is based on statistics. If you give tickets to 33%, finally the women who reach the parliament is close to 50%. Because some who have contested earlier as women are leaders in their own right. There will be some who will be contesting on general seats, and there will be 33% in any case. So finally to the parliament there will be women who are more than 33%.
Okay.
So which is
But
statistically
you're not
proven.
answering Anuradha ji's question.
No, I'm answering her. I'm saying
she's not satisfied. What she's saying is,
because she needs to study the study I'm talking
no,
about.
that's fine. But I think her point is that why are the women of India satisfied with the current existing legislation which exists in Parliament today? It's only for 33% reservation. What about Pakistan? Are you satisfied with 75 seats, if I'm not wrong, that are given to women?
I think about 65 seats. I think that's a fair, you see, because again, that's this quota which is reserved for women, which means that 33% women will be in Parliament, will be in Parliament as nominated by the political parties, and then there will be more women, as in the case of Pakistan, for instance. In my times, I remember both times in Parliament, there were 12 women who contested the general elections and came. So, we can agree on 50%, 60%, 70%, 30. I think 33% was a very good start. So you have to start. You have to have a starting point. And then there's obviously the mainstreaming. I also believe in mainstreaming of, women in the general, processes, whether it's economic or political or social.
I think, again, I would say, why quota system? Why quota system? I don't understand that. I would like to, get explanation. Why quota system for women? Why not quota system for men?
Absolutely. I think that's a fair question. Melanie, would you like to ask yours?
Well, actually, it's more a comment that Anuradha Koirala ji has done work and knows about the suffering of women in Nepal and at our border of UP and Bihar more than anybody else. And I really salute the kind of work you've done with women and children. And it is no ordinary woman, no ordinary South Asian woman who could have accomplished as much as you have. But I must say that as a journalist, I would not like to agree, just let you, Jyoti, leave the debate with this, what could be called a feel-good factor for women. I think what I'm deeply impacted by is what Nisha said when she went trekking to the fastnesses of nature. Nature did not ask, are you a woman or are you a man, and therefore shall I save you from this blizzard today? What I'd like to say is that fundamentally and finally, we have to locate ourselves, women, back in our families. That is the unit that is given to us today. Tomorrow the families might be different. But as we have known it over the last, let's say, 1,000 years or more in this part of the world, it's located in a family. I would just like to, just one very wee and extremely tentative word of caution. We are located in our families, but we have to acquire a much better a presence in our families, effective presence, not just one which says you are my mother and therefore you are, you lead us. Therefore, I would like to say to middle-class women, to our changing laws, that we should ensure that there is no exploitation by us now of the very people, the older people in our families, the men in our families, the children in our families. I don't think we should do that. We should remember that that also is our responsibility as somebody who has come this far. And nature did not discriminate when Nisha was sitting there and waiting for the blizzard.
Absolutely. I don't know if that should be the fundamental argument, which is that women should be located in their families or in the family unit, but that's a separate discussion. Nisha, you will have the last word.
Yeah, it's very tough to imagine a perfectly balanced world. That would be heaven. I would like to call it heaven, be it on a personal level, on a family level, or a societal level. But then, yes, I've been speaking on behalf of women, saying, doing things for the sake of positive discrimination, which actually, as a human being, I go through conflicts every day, even doing that. But then discrimination, we can take it to that point, being a Nepali youth, I'm saying this, where no one should be harmed via discrimination, like women violence. She talked about dowries and women being burned because they didn't bring enough money to the in-laws and all. What actually puts me back is, like, I've traveled extensively throughout Nepal while shooting, and people are improving, changing. Not just women, but men are coming out. They want, from a very small example, they take their women to, when she's giving birth to a child, they make it a point to be there. That's there, like, it's improving. It's coming up slowly. But what really puts me back is how the statements in laws, like new laws are being formed and they are being passed, but not executed. And for that, I think we need the 33% of women for there to execute the laws. I had this discussion with my dad, and I was like, very adamant. Why just, like she said? And my dad told me that that 33% face the reality. We live in a South Asian country, and no matter what you do, where you go, you'll be facing it. Like I said, it's my daily life, right? But then look at that 33% to be the added number of percentage in the future. Do whatever you can from your side.
But I think let's dream like Anuradha ji. We shouldn't have any quotas, no barriers.
True. I totally agree to that.
Yeah.
I wish, like I said, a perfectly balanced world is for me like heaven. It would be heavenly for us.
On this note, ladies and gentlemen, a big hand to Nisha Adhikari, Anuradha Koirala, Hina Rabanikar, and Meenakshi Lekhi. Thank you so much.